we have a lot of insights and we also have a lot of energy. That's what I mean by we're not done yet. Heck, the next 10, 20 years is probably the most exciting time for us, really, if we let it be.
Welcome to the Midlife Reinvention Podcast. I'm your host, Kavita, and the founder of Power Purpose Play, a global community of women in midlife. I'm here to tell you that it's your time now to rediscover what has always been inside of you and bring that out into the world. If you're wondering what's next, but don't know quite what that is, or if you feel a twinge in your heart telling you that you have so much more to do and so much more to offer, you're in the right place. Ask yourself, if not now, when? Do you want to leave your job, start your own business, take control of your health, reignite the passion in your marriage, write that book, or at least that first chapter? Transitions like this can be daunting, but through listening to my story and interviews with incredible women every week, I hope to inspire you to take action. I rediscovered myself after the age of 50, and I know you can too. It's my time now to help you do just that. I'm so excited you're here. Let's dive in. Hi, my dear friend, and I hope you're doing well today. I had taken a week's break last week to really unplug a bit and take some time for play. I hope you do that sometimes as well. One of the reasons I put play in Power Purpose Play is to realize the importance of giving yourself a break, of rest, and of constantly doing. I think the last 2 years have made us pause and reflect on what is really important to us. And especially now with the recent devastating events with the war in Ukraine, they've also reminded us of how precious life really is. Every single life. If you're new to this podcast, thank you for taking the time to be here. My intent with this podcast is to help you realize how precious your life is and to maximize it to your full potential. To that end, I work with women who are facing transitions in midlife, whether that be into a new career or out of a career to start something new, or whether that be other aspects of life, such as perhaps becoming empty nesters or transitions in your relationships or health changes. Women in midlife are at a unique position because we have so much wealth of experience, knowledge, and yet we still have so much untapped potential. My goal is to empower women like you to rediscover your true potential and live your next stage of life to the fullest. This week, I speak with Rebecca Reynolds Moore, who also believes, like I do, that it's never too late to fulfill your purpose, to serve others, and to prosper. Enjoy this episode and do reach out to me if you really feel like you need help or encouragement as you face transitions in life that you may be going through. I'm here for you. Enjoy this episode. Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of the Midlife Reinvention Podcast. I hope this day is going great for you and you are stepping into your inner power and purpose. If you're new to this podcast, I'm your host, Kavita Ahuja, and the founder of Power Purpose Play. We are a global community of women in midlife who are saying with confidence, it's my time now. To that end, I interview incredible women who will serve as inspiration for you and who will give you examples of how to face the obstacles in your way and take that first step towards reinvention. This week, I'm super excited to have on our show Rebecca Reynolds Moore. Rebecca is the founder and CEO of InANutshell Consulting. She emboldens female innovators and thought leaders who want to make up for lost time to launch or grow their own businesses. She coaches ambitious entrepreneurs to monetize their unique brilliance so that they can create a fulfilling, sustainable, and impactful livelihood. As a female founder coach and natural-born ideator, Rebecca is intent on proving a new paradigm that it's never too late to fulfill your purpose, to serve others, and to prosper. Many of her clients have started YOLO businesses in their 40s and 50s. So I love that. Thank you so much for being on the podcast, Rebecca. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you
Wonderful.
for inviting me. It's so good to see you.
Yes, it's great to see you. Hopefully one day in person, right? That's what we're just talking about.
I know. And I just love how international the podcast world and my business has become. I was just talking to a client last night who's in Brisbane. And yeah, it's just amazing. I hadn't even heard that they had a huge flood and that there's just a huge displacement of people going on there. And anyway, it just opens your eyes
to
the world. And it's wonderful to get to know you.
Thank you. Yeah. And it opens up the world, and it also makes us closer in a way, right? So
it does. It really does.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. I love that. So Rebecca, I thought I'd just maybe go back a little bit, and your mission, and I'll read it for your business, is to empower smart women with business ideas to create meaningful and fruitful livelihoods on their own terms. And I love that. It speaks to my heart. So if you could just tell our audience a little bit about how did you get this started, and where did all this passion come from to embolden women in their businesses?
Wow. Yeah. So, well, I guess I'll start about 6 years ago after a 13-year career pause, which was supposed to be just a couple years. I actually decided to go back into the startup world, and I joined a lingerie startup in what I thought was going to be a business development role. It was interesting. And I was drawn to their mission to help women thrive by helping them feel more comfortable in their own skin with their undergarments. And they had created a custom fit bra service and company. And that appealed to me because I had just been through breast cancer and I was feeling a little self-conscious and lopsided and lumpy. And so I worked for them and for a couple of years, but then I had what I call my minivan moment. And that was this terrible realization that I was not in the right place. And that, yes, it had many of the components. I love the startup world. I love entrepreneurship, and I love the mission and the community, but my talents were being underutilized at that particular company. And to explain it a bit more, before my pause, I had my dream job. And this will probably resonate with you, but I had started my own .com. And from the seed of an idea, it's just this idea I had, and I realized nobody else was doing it. And it kind of pulled together all these things that I loved. And I created this collaborative commerce platform for museums, for museum stores in particular, called museumshop.com, and grew it to 30 employees. And we had 4,000 different products online. And this was before the iPhone.
This was before Facebook. Amazon and
yes. Well, This was just about the same time.
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos was getting started, but we had different outcomes. But I was able to
was it museumshop.com? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
wow.
That was the name
How
of the
did you
company.
get that URL? That's a great URL, right?
Oh, I went through a gazillion. We actually had that's another story for another day, but we actually had another similar name and someone sued us because it's too close to their name.
Yeah.
Anyway,
sorry, that just popped in my head.
All sorts of stuff. Okay. But we got it. And so we were working with 70 museums around the world, and against all odds, I raised venture capital and we grew to 7-figure sales, and I totally burned myself out. So back to the minivan. So I'm sitting in my minivan. I'm thinking, what the heck am I doing? The last job I had, I was the CEO of my own company. And here I am selling bras. It's kind of, and so I knew at that moment I had to put on my big girl panties, which are very nice.
I'm sure. They were probably custom, right?
Okay. And I had to leave this really cool startup community to build my own thing, because I was afraid to start again after so long. I was afraid. I was 54, but deep inside I knew that my calling was to really encourage other women to take that same leap of entrepreneurship and to be their champion and guide, and to be the guide that I wished I had, because I made a lot of mistakes. I wasn't the leader that I needed to be at my company. I mean, I did a lot of great things, but there were some things that I wish I had known. So that's how I started InANutshell Consulting. And I really believe, and I know this is super controversial, but that if more women started and ran their own business and had a voice in how to run businesses more humanely, because of that 13-year career process, because of my unpaid role as a caregiver for so many years, that we could make a paradigm shift in how businesses are run. So that's
100%. I mean, I think all of what you said is fascinating, because I think what you did is you took your previous startup, successful dream job, as you said, and all the experiences you had from there, and realized, okay, I'm burnt out, and then took a break. And then that break also gave you the experiences that cultivated other skills that you had.
Yeah.
And then going into the lingerie thing and realizing that minivan moment, which we all have. And it's so interesting as I interview, I would say 99% of women that I interview and that have reinvented themselves have those kind of moments. And they're trigger points that really make us think. And that happened to me. It's like, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? And and then oftentimes what happens is that many women like you and me will go after the thing that they believe they want to go after, but many won't. And just that actually leads really, really nicely into my next question, is that you talked about the fact that you were afraid. And that, to me, that's hard to believe because you were so successful before, right? But that's what happens, is that a lot of people, a lot of women, they're held back from their inner blocks that hold them back. And what do you think is the biggest block, or is it a fear that holds women back from moving forward?
Yeah, so it's hard to just name a few, but I'll try. So I think the biggest one is just fear of the unknown. Okay. And in my first example, I was terrified to start the company, but I'm like, nobody's doing this. Like, somebody's got to do this. It's like the perfect time. I'm like, no one's doing it. I got to do it.
Yeah.
And so that was actually just the timing, the market. I think the timing was perfect. And I still think the company would be around today if I had known a few things that I know now. But so fear of the unknown. So I talk about this with my clients all the time. If you're at a plateau in your business or in your life, doing the same thing is not going to, if you're going to continue to do the same thing, then you're going to have the same outcome.
Exactly.
So what you need to do is something that you've never done before, but that's uncomfortable and scary. And most of us have learned to avoid uncomfortable situations at all costs. And the best entrepreneurs are those who just like lean right into that uncomfortableness.
That's so true.
So that's the first thing. I think the second thing that's huge, we were talking about blocks, but is just this becoming more conscious of unconscious programming in your head. I think you talked about, I can't remember whether it was in one of your podcasts or in your website, but Eckhart Tolle, and just this like, okay, there's you, and then there's the you that's talking to you. And oftentimes the you that is talking to you is saying very unhelpful things that have been passed down to you from generation to generation, or you've just gotten used to saying these things. So it's being able to notice when those unproductive thoughts are turning around in your head, or unhelpful rules that no longer apply. They're outdated rules.
Yes.
Which
call them gremlins.
Big. Yes. In the Buddha and the Badass, they call it rules, bullshit rules.
Yes.
So, but this is like a big area, huge area that is in the past 10 years. Wow. So much is going on in that arena. So so unconscious programming, like looking at it and saying, oh, whoa. Yeah, that's not true.
So kind of stopping it, like stopping the momentum of the negative thoughts, I would say, right? Because really it's about the thoughts. But
it's not just, oh, think positive thoughts. It's like going through understanding, okay, where did that come from? What in the world is that coming from? So that's a big, as you know, big part of coaching as well. It's helping people see the things that they can't see in themselves. The third thing I guess I would say is actually fear of money. Starting and misinformation. There's so much misinformation. Like, oh yeah, you can like start a business and have a 10-figure business in 2 years. Like,
yes.
Yeah, maybe one in a 400 million that happens
It drives
to.
me crazy when I see
It
those.
drives me nuts.
Yeah.
So, I mean, starting a new business takes investment of time and money,
Mm-hmm.
and it's risky. There's no guarantees.
Mm-hmm.
It is by nature risky. That's what entrepreneurship means, taking risks. And it can take years to achieve a predictable and steady income. And that's just the reality. So how much are you willing to invest, and how long are you willing to stick to it till you get it to be a smooth running machine?
I love that because it's realistic. I mean, it's great to have the positive mentality that it's going to work out, but you also have to have the realism is like, am I going to be able to sustain it for X period of time? There is a lot of work, and trust me, like coming from a corporate world where everything was taken care of, right?
I know that's so hard. I have a lot of C-suite clients. And it's like, I used to just delegate this, and now how do I do it? And they freeze because it's like,
But I find that exciting.
That's a tricky one.
I find that exciting because it's like it's opportunity for learning, but also it can be very, very draining, as you know. But
yes. I guess the fourth thing, and there's lots of other things that are preventing women from moving forward, but I would say judgment. And this could be either self-judgment or judgment by even well-meaning family members and friends who don't want you to change because they're used to you the way they are, or children, adult children. Or
Mom, why are you doing that? Are you sure you want to do that?
Can you get out of your office? I need such and such.
I hear you.
I need the car. Or this one always kills me, that well-meaning groups of friends that are like, why don't you just get a real job? That drives me nuts.
Yeah.
And they really are well-meaning. I mean, I have a client who has a group of friends that are like, why would you need a coach? Doesn't a coach just tell you what you already know? And like, they're making her question her decision to hire a coach when it's investing in yourself.
Absolutely.
And helping you get there faster. So, So
I heard a stat where coaching is going to be like everybody in the household. It's going to be like kind of electricity almost. It's like this is how people are not used to asking for help. And I have that. I did that in my previous podcast, and my latest one. I had this topic about the importance of asking for help. People don't ask for it, and they feel, and like you said, like they may feel guilty, or they may have people even close to them asking, saying, well, why are you doing that? Or, right.
Well, and as you know, too, when you ask for help, then by nature, you're saying that you're vulnerable and that you don't know everything. And we're used to, we've gotten this message that we all have to be self-sufficient and independent. And so
those are great things.
To that.
So there's a fear of unknown, unconscious programming, a fear of money, and I'd say abundance too, right? Like general abundance.
Yes. It may not just be fear of money, but just not understanding how to levy. How is the money part going to work? I mean, if you've gotten a salary and benefits your whole entire life and they were quite nice, it is really hard to just replace. It's not an equal replacement.
Yes.
Because you're also getting flexibility, freedom. I actually had a job opportunity come up just last week. I'm like, ooh, that would look really fun, but I don't want to go into an office. I don't want to be.
You don't want to be stuck to 9 to 5.
Even though it was like right in my alley. I'm like, no. So
yeah, interesting.
That freedom.
And then the judgment. Yeah, that's so important. Judging is especially self-judgment. I think that really can, like you said, the voices that we are always talking about and saying to ourselves, like, if we listen to those voices and then we said that out loud, it would be, people would think we're being very mean.
Well, and that's why it's so insidious, is because you can't really hear it out loud.
Yeah, exactly. So the other thing we often talk about here is how do you gain the courage to actually go and do these things? And I know you've done several businesses, and you also went through cancer, and you had your struggles there. And how do you develop this courage to go forward? And if you know that you really want something but you're afraid, the flip side of that is, how do you get over that fear? How did you?
I think it boils down to that one sense of purpose has to be, someone said this, is I'm not the first person to say this by any means, but that your sense of purpose has to be stronger than your fear. So my interest is, and that's what I love about the name of your business and podcast, my interest is using the best of my abilities to do the best I can. I don't want to waste my abilities. And that's why that minivan moment was so meaningful to me, because it's like, shoot, I thought this was going to use my skill set, but it's not, and I'm not feeling good about it. So that's really, that's part of it. So, and also, so I have a commitment to constant self-development. I work with coaches and have masterminds for me too. I take courses. I surround myself with others who have already done what I'm doing and, are further along. I've been through the pitfalls. And then I heard a great phrase that at first sounded negative, but this separate to elevate. So this term was coined by a guy named Preston Smiles, who is really cool. But at certain points in your life, when you want to get to a different level and change, sometimes you kind of have to separate from, again, those well-meaning friends that are saying things, or from things that bring you down, like Facebook posts or whatever, and just not spend time in those areas that fuel your fears.
Yes.
And surround yourself with others that are going to really be encouraging you.
That elevate you. Yeah.
So that's, I think, one way. Another is, and this is why I read so many books, I have it under my laptop here, but the Atomic Habits, my favorite quote by Atomic Habits is, every action you make is a vote for the kind of person you want to be. And to me, when I'm afraid, I'm like, wait a minute, that's not how I want to be. How I want to occur is upbeat and relaxed and confident and playful. I love your playful word, lighthearted.
Yes.
But doing good things. I don't want to occur as stressed and anxious and my old highway to burnout.
Yeah. Yes.
And I want the world to occur as something that is full of possibilities and it's changing, even though there's so many awful things going on in the world. I did a post about that this morning. It's like, how can I be, how can I hold on to that sadness of what's going on in the world and yet still be an encouragement to others?
That's
not
tough.
like let it bring you down. So, and then the last thing I think about courage is just basically, again, it's another programming thing, willingness to fail a lot. And instead of, when you fail, because I've had many things that I've tried to, programs I've launched that have just like fallen flat. And when I've talked to a client that I was excited about and they just like never made it, just couldn't decide or whatever, all these things. So it's like, instead of saying, oh, I'm a failure, say, oh gosh, what could I do differently next time? Or what did I do what worked about that? What didn't?
Yes. That's hard. It's hard.
That's a muscle.
Yeah, it is hard. Those are excellent. So courage, I like that. Sense of purpose is stronger than fear. Yeah, that's a good one. And then when you self-develop, the second one, you develop the courage to move on because you get more confident, I think, in your abilities. Hi, my friend. Kavita here. Do you often feel blocked from moving forward? We all feel that way at times. These are referred to as energy blocks. I've created a short, actionable PDF guide to help you release your negative energy blocks. Click the link in the description to download it now for free. Now, let's get back to the episode.
Yeah,
you
I mean,
know?
when you've gotten good testimonials
Yeah.
and you have a little bit more experience under your belt and you've practiced with other, you're continually
Yeah.
improving.
Yeah. I find it
Um,
fascinating that
yeah,
even people that you look up to, like whatever, and masters in their field, they're still learning. Everyone is
everybody.
still, yeah, it's wonderful. And then the willingness to fail,
It's a
that's really
myth that you've
important.
ever arrived, right?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. These are great. Thank you so much. You had a blog that I read, and in it you were talking about the fact that in particular women in midlife, they are the perfect time to start their own businesses. And in it you say that your story is not over; it's just the beginning of a new era. And I believe that, obviously, if otherwise I wouldn't be here. But
Love it.
so tell me a little bit about what you were talking about in the blog, and why do you think women in particular, we're at a perfect stage in our lives?
Well, and I think that you and I both are working with women in their midlife.
Mm-hmm.
So our particular demographic
Mm-hmm.
is at a really interesting juncture
Mm.
because never before has there been a group of women, and we'll just talk. I mean, it really is global, not just US and Canada,
Yeah.
but women that are more educated, more experienced, have an understanding of technology. We're living longer.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a very different experience than our foremothers have,
Yes.
even though some of us may have had mothers that were very accomplished. So this whole kind of having both the experience of caregiving and going through having parents that maybe have been through the depression or wars or whatever,
Yeah.
we have a lot of insights,
Yes.
and we also have a lot of energy. Like
Yes.
that's what I mean by we're not done yet.
No.
Heck, the next 10, 20 years is probably the most exciting time for us, really, if we let it
Yeah.
be. Because
Mm.
I'm not going to go and start saying, oh, my aching back. And I mean, I want to do something.
I like that when
Right?
you said if you let it be, because you can let it be anything you want. But like if you really think about it, in our 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond, we have good 20, 30, whatever years ahead of us. And what is it that you want to do with it? And that's what I say is as if not now, when, right? When are you going to
Yep.
do this?
Yep.
Are you want to look back at your
And
life and be regretting it? And like I
yes.
agree that it's fascinating how much women in our age in midlife they are so much more, like you said, educated, experienced. They have so much more drive and ambition, I think.
I think though, and I think we have to be careful with drive and ambition, because what I like to work with women who have what I call healthy ambition.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I mean by a new paradigm. I'm not interested in working with entrepreneurs that want to be an overnight success or that want to build an empire. Like, they're out there, that's fine. I want to work with people who have an innovative idea and they're really going to make a change. They understand it's not going to be an instant change, but they want to make a little impact in their sphere of influence, wherever that is.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by healthy ambition is they realize that they may not be able to accomplish the same income or revenue generation or financial results as when they had a salary. And
Yeah.
it may be different. It's a different construct because there are other things that are valuable. And it's not a lifestyle. It's not like a hobby.
Mm.
It's more than that.
Yeah. It's a
It's
lifestyle,
a
right?
livelihood
Yes.
as opposed to a lifestyle business. It's like, this is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life
Yes.
until I can, because I mean, in my case, I would love to get more women we can help create innovative businesses, the better.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would like to turn my consulting proceeds into investments in the ones that are they're not bootstrapping, they need a capital infusion to get to the next level.
Right.
So that's what I would like to do.
Right.
So,
and also, I think, thank you for that. I think that women as well, it doesn't mean that we're dissing men. I think it's just that
no. No.
I think that, and I don't know if maybe from your experience in your consulting, you can speak to this, is there more and more women starting their own businesses at our age, or what's the stats for that? Do you know, or?
So I've been looking online for the more recent stats, and they really, I don't have anything for 2021 yet. But what I have seen is that, well, there are various disparate stats that I think are interesting. And there's an organization called the Center for Ageless Entrepreneurship. And the head of that, Rick Terrian, was talking about, I was on a call with him the other day. He was talking about the fact that most small businesses are 1 or 2 person businesses.
Yes.
And the vast majority of small businesses, are, how do I say this? Small businesses make up a huge percent of our population.
Yes.
And so if we make it okay to have a small business and not kind of a diss, it's okay and fine to have a small, thriving business.
Of course it is.
Yeah, no, but in our society, it's considered less than.
Really?
I think.
Okay.
I
think that's changing, though. So. I think.
I do too.
I think
because of technology. Yeah.
Yeah, I think especially during the last 2 years. I think people have had to really pivot, and having a small business and having the courage to do that, I think, is a lot of people look at that and say, "Okay, I wish I could do that," or right.
Yes. So. And the other stat I have for 2020, I believe, is in the US anyway, about 1,800 women per month start a new business. Or 1,800 women businesses are started every month. So I don't know if that's changed. So I think what happened is a lot of them went out of business during COVID, and now people are starting up, but it's not necessarily the same people.
Yeah.
Sadly, because it's a lot of service-based business. And then the other thing is that entrepreneurs I've seen a couple studies recently where entrepreneurs in their 50s are much more likely to succeed than any other age group.
That's not surprising to me.
No, but you would know, because the entrepreneurial kind of stereotype is 20 something, 20 something white male. Yeah.
Like it speaks to the experience and the knowledge that we've gained as well. I think we know what we want and we know what we don't want. Right. One of the things that I find in women that come to me is that sometimes they know that there's something in their heart. They say they want to do something, but they're really not sure what they want to do, or they don't even acknowledge, they don't understand the strengths that they have and the skills that they have. And you were talking earlier about how you kind of connected the dots with all the different things that you've done. And then you landed on InANutshell consulting and kind of brought all your experiences. And I think it was another blog you had that you talked about connecting the threads and cultivating the masterpiece years. So talk to me a little bit about that. And how do we know what we want to do? Like, how do we figure out what we're good at and what do we want to do next? And what business, like, for example, what business do I want to start? How do we even get to know that?
Yeah, I think it's different for every person, but there are wonderful exercises that you can do to just kind of look at, okay, where would you vision yourself 20 years from now? Like, what would be fabulous? And you just start dreaming.
Yeah.
And there are also some wonderful kind of personality, like the VIA assessment. And you probably have done all of those different various assessments that are really, really helpful in just kind of helping you understand what you're strong at and what you lean towards in particular areas. There's the Enneagram and Strengths Finder.
Yeah.
Which those are good. If you really don't know, if you're looking, you really don't know, don't have a clue. That's the first thing to start with. And also asking your friends, like, what am I fabulous at? It's funny asking that question and then hearing what how they view you. It's just,
that's an
it's so
exercise I do.
interesting.
It's not, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Ask three
Yeah.
friends what you're good at and what they come to you for.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's surprising
Yeah.
because if you write down what you're good at or what you think you're good at, and then you ask three friends, they usually overlap. And it's like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Am I using that? Am I using those skills? Yeah, like you said, when you were in the lingerie business, you said you weren't utilizing your skills to the utmost. And I think that's kind of a disservice that people do to the world, really, is if you don't utilize all your strengths and your passions, right? And that's why.
But it can
that's
be
what I encourage.
so, especially when you're in like a caregiving role and you don't really have a choice.
Yes.
You kind of put a lot of things on the back burner.
Of course.
And sometimes you forget that there are things that you enjoy, or you don't allow yourself to enjoy those things that truly light you up.
Mm-hmm.
Or as I say, blow your hair back. So, and it's looking back through, what was it? There are other exercises you can do. It's just like, what were like the highlights of my last 50 years, right?
Yeah.
What were the highlights? And what was something that was a turning point for me?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what when I was talking about cultivating your masterpiece years. So I started in art history and I love art.
Yes.
So just this idea of, well, you know what? It's not just life happens to you, but you can create the next phase of your life more than you could any other time. I mean, in high school, you have to take all the courses they tell you to take.
Mm-hmm.
In college, you declare a major, then you do that. Well, now we are lucky, privileged enough to be able to kind of form something if we're willing. And it just reminds me of one other thing that I heard when our first daughter, we have 3 daughters, when she was first a freshman at college, they had a parent orientation, and they asked all the parents, who's worried about their kid getting a job when they get out of college, and everybody raised their hand. And then they gave some statistics of how many kids would have job by the end, and they have really good statistics, so they were happy to share that. And then they said 90% of the jobs that will be available in 4 years don't even have a name yet. Like, they haven't even been invented yet.
It's incredible. Yeah.
So what does that tell us? Well, we can do the same thing. We can invent a job that blows our hair back and we enjoy.
Yeah.
And we get paid for it. That's, to me, the ultimate, to get paid your worth for doing something that you truly enjoy.
Yes.
And that's
and
the golden.
Absolutely. I love that. It's like cultivating your masterpiece. I love that. I think what you mentioned also kind of triggered something in that people say, yeah, that's fine and dandy, and I'd love to be able to follow my passions and do what I want and right off into the sunset, but I have all these I have to put food on the table, and how do I practically looking after my parents or elderlies, and how do I do this practically? So I think it even if you start small, and I don't know what your opinion on that is, and if you bring in a few of your passions, if you think about what you were passionate about as a child, you bring that in, and then you start slowly. And it doesn't mean that you have to leave your job or your career all at once, but if you really want to do it, it can be done, right?
It can. And just not all at once.
Yeah.
Actually, that's one of the reasons that I like what I do, is because I with my siblings, we're looking after my parents.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can take off on a Friday midday and just like, gotta go.
Yeah.
Gotta go.
Yes.
So it's not easy, but
yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful. That's great. There's so many things here, but I talked a little about this earlier about when I went from corporate to being an entrepreneur and how difficult it can be, and how it can be frustrating and lonely, and it can be overwhelming as well. And what would you say for women who are like thinking about going in this entrepreneurial path, because that's how you consult women with, right? What are some practical ways that they can reduce the overwhelm that happens? Because I know I feel it a lot, because all of a sudden you're doing everything, right? You're the accountant, you're the marketer, you're the saleswoman, you're everything. So maybe some practical tips from your experience.
Yeah. So I think the first is to maybe have a realistic timeline or loosen the timeline. Be willing for it to take a little bit longer and cost a little more to get going. Because it will always take longer and cost more than you projected.
Yeah.
The other is to join another group of entrepreneurs or people that are at the same stage, so that you can help each other out.
Accountability, right? Yeah, accountability.
Yeah. Yes. So I have a mastermind group every quarter that I run, and it's just a small group, but we set our objectives and goals for the quarter, and then we meet every week. It's a chance to both celebrate the small micro wins and hold each other accountable, and have some camaraderie, because camaraderie, that was actually the toughest thing about leaving that other company. I really crave the camaraderie.
Well, it gets lonely. It can be lonely because you're always in you're in yourself, right? Oh, am I doing the right thing? Whereas when you're in a corporate or an environment where you're working with others, it's easy to throw ideas at each other, right?
So, And then the other thing I would say is, join some small groups, get help, like delegate the things. This is another whole topic, but figure out the things that totally drain you and delegate them, or that you're really not good at, and try to delegate them. I'm terrible with delegation. So it's like, that's one of my thorns in my side, to just like get it delegated. And then the others, get out. Like,
get out and play. Get out and play.
And play.
That's why I have play in there.
This morning I've been taking Wednesday mornings and going to the gym and working out. And I just nice. It just feels so good. And just get together with friends, like build that into your day or your week, to take breaks. And so that balances out the accountability. And then, I don't say this as self-serving, but I do recommend hiring a coach, because you'll get there faster.
For sure.
And with more encouragement. And so you won't dip into those deep lows that can actually, they can sideline you for months if you get really down. So another thing that I've started is a monthly, I call it a founder's test kitchen. And so it's a 75-minute, it's virtual, but it's 75 minutes, just a group of founders. And I always have a guest founder. And then all the other founders have the opportunity to introduce themselves and introduce a topic that they would like feedback on. So maybe it's a campaign that they're trying, or a pricing, or it can be anything. It's all over the map. It's like, I need someone who has a contact with C-suite HR executives, whatever. But so I'm just doing that once a month.
That's great.
And that's just another opportunity for founders to meet other founders.
Yeah.
There are tons of opportunities for entrepreneurs these days. Free things from small business, there's small business free groups, and there are low cost accelerators.
Yeah.
But a lot of those groups are kind of cookie cutter. Like, you have to go through their whole program.
Yes. Yeah.
So the advantage of finding a small group that fits your needs is that you don't have to go through grounds. You don't want, as someone who was an executive, you don't want to go through the basics all over again. You have
yes. Yeah.
There's a lot that you have some. So with a coach, you could get you can get just what you need.
Yeah, I think with coaching, it's more much more personalized, and it's more about what is your client's goals, and what do they really what are their vision for themselves. And also, you don't have to start from the beginning, right? You can meet them where they are, right?
Exactly.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's great. I think based on my experience, yes, it's true. I joined several different groups, and some of them have worked, some haven't. But you have to find the group that fits your style and your vision and your requirements. So those are great. And then I'm obviously finding a coach that's going to champion you, right, and move you forward. Yeah. That's so important.
Yeah, exactly.
So
keep you kind of that gentle kick in the butt that you will need.
I don't know.
And
Sometimes
also,
it can be more not gentle. It could be more of a push that you needed.
Or sometimes it's just like, oh, yeah, that's normal. That what you're feeling right now is totally normal.
Yes.
It will pass.
Exactly.
Like a kidney stone. Anyway.
That's hilarious. Well, that's what I was going to ask you about what you're doing. And you mentioned your Founder's Kitchen. That sounds fascinating. I might join that one day.
Yes.
Yeah.
So please do. Founder's Test Kitchen. And
yes.
Yeah, there's no food. It's just the idea is that you test it and it's rapid, rapid fire.
It's kind of like what the recipes, right? In the kitchen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And what else are you involved in, or what else can you?
So the other thing is this exceptionals mastermind that I'm doing each quarter, and then I do one-on-one consulting. And I also have just finished up a 6-week partnership with another financial advisor. It's called Know Your Numbers, and it was a 6-week course for business owners to just get much more comfortable and cozy with their numbers and demystify the all of the lingo that can be really confusing.
Yes.
And
that's very important. So, yeah.
So that's a quarterly thing as well.
Nice. So, well, you're busy. You're busy. Wonderful. Well, we'll definitely have all your information in our show notes, and so people can look up your great services. And just generally, though, Rebecca, any last thoughts on women in midlife and who maybe be thinking about, hey, I'm thinking I want to start my own business, but
yeah. Any last? Well, and you don't have to do it alone. You can find someone to partner with as well. Yeah. I guess my theme is that it's never too late to cultivate your purpose. And I think that studies have shown that we all age better when we feel like we have a sense of purpose and a sense of progress and that we're engaged in the world. And so this is just one way to do it. There are many ways to do it. One way is to start your own business.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if
that's beautiful. Yeah, it's never too late.
Interest, then let's chat. Yeah.
Fantastic. Those are great pearls, and thank you for all that you have shared today. It was really, really informative, and it was great talking to you. And I think we're talking tomorrow on a live, right?
Yes. So I'm going to do it. We're going to do a live stream together.
Yes,
that'll be fun.
Yeah. So and this isn't going to be posted for a few weeks, but.
Yes, this will be live. It's one thing I pushed myself to do because for a long time I was really afraid to do anything live, and now I'm just like, you know what?
That's another thing. You got the courage, develop the courage to do that. Yeah, I have to do more of those as well. So they'll be fun.
Okay. Oh, you'll love it. You'll love it. I'll make you comfortable. Okay.
Thanks, Rebecca. See you then. It was great to speak with you today.
Likewise. Care. Thanks. Bye.
I loved my conversation with Rebecca, and I hope you did too. And as one female founder to another, I loved her practical advice on starting YOLO businesses, even if you are in your 40s, 50s, or beyond. There is a new paradigm shift that is happening. And if you even have a little twinge in your heart telling you that something needs to change, follow it, my friend. Here are her key takeaways. Number 1, if more women started and ran their own businesses and had a voice on how to run businesses more humanely, we could make a paradigm shift in how businesses are run. 2, the blocks that stop us from moving forward include, number 1, fear of the unknown. 2, becoming more conscious of unconscious programming in your head. 3, fear of money and misinformation about money. And 4, judgment, either self-judgment or even judgment from those closest to us. Number 3, how do you develop courage? 1, your sense of purpose has to be stronger than your fear. 2, constantly learning and getting better at what you do. 3, separate to elevate. And 4, having a willingness to fail. Number 4, never before has there been a group of women that are more educated, more experienced, and have an understanding of technology and are living longer than now. We have a lot of insights and a lot of energy. We are not done yet. 5. Entrepreneurship is not about making millions instantly. It's about making an impact. It's about healthy ambition. It's not a hobby. It's a livelihood. 6. Ask yourself, what were the highlights of my last 40 or 50 years? And what was the turning point for me? It's not just life happens to you, but you can create the next phase of your life more than you could at any other time. 7. Practical ways of reducing the overwhelm of becoming an entrepreneur include 1. Have a realistic timeline. Be willing for it to take a little more time or cost a little more. 2. Join a group of other entrepreneurs for accountability and camaraderie. 3. Delegate the things that drain you or that you're not good at. 4. Get out and play. Build that into your day or weeks. And 5. Hire a coach because you'll get there faster. And 8. It's never too late to cultivate your purpose. We all age better when we find we have a sense of purpose and progress and when we are engaged in the world. Thank you for listening, and I hope this podcast provides that little pearls that you can bring into your own life. As Rebecca said, it's okay to ask for help. It is a sign of a strength, not of weakness. I'm here to help and serve you. As a life transition and core energy coach, I can help you clarify some of the weeds that may be in your head, or the confusion that you may be thinking, what's next? I have a proven coaching program which will take you from confusion to clarity on what to do next. I am 100% confident that I can motivate you to move forward, my friend. Let's have a conversation, no obligation, just a conversation about what's on your mind. Remember, as I always say, if not now, when? Till next time, my dear friend, stay well and stay safe.